This morning, one man died. A man in the Channel. It's a simple statement. Not a criminal, not a queue jumper, not a nameless statistic, but a man in the French press, un homme, who drew breath, bore hope, believed in the promise of Britain. He died of cardiac arrest on a dinghy that had been turned back to France after attempting to cross the English Channel on Saturday morning. We don't know his name, nor his country, nor his story, and that precisely is the shame. The British press barely blinked, no obituary, no photograph, just a death, folded between adverts for private health insurance and angry headlines about so-called migrant manuals. A dead man becomes a footnote, one of 18 who've died this year attempting the crossing. 18 lives, 18 absences, and still no public reckoning. This is what bureaucracy can do, not merely mismanage, but erase. It's not just the heart that fails, it's the moral heart of the system. We can trace the slow bureaucratic suffocation that leads to such deaths. It began in earnest with Theresa May's hostile environment planned by Blunkett, which transformed migration policy into a theatre of cruelty. Instead of resourcing case workers, the Home Office began under-resourcing itself by design. Decisions slowed, the backlog ballooned until it's no longer possible to process. Applicants, whether Afghan, Sudanese, Kurdish, Syrian or otherwise, have been left to rot in hotels, barracks, or nowhere at all. Some hotels are now under curfew, like a medieval ghetto. They were neither welcomed nor removed, simply suspended in limbo. And this man, whoever he was, likely spent months, perhaps years, waiting for processing in France, for clarity, for a future. Perhaps he fled war or persecution, perhaps he simply dreamed of something better. What is certain is that he ended up in a dinghy, entrusted to smugglers, braving a sea as cold as our public conscience, and he died on the way back, returned not by kindness but by the logic of deterrence, a failed journey, a failed life, and even now the response is silence. It's not simply that the Home Office failed him, it's that our political discourse actively mocks him. Illegal immigrant is the term of art, as if a human being can be illegal. Meanwhile, GB News whips up froth over hotel residents and populist politicians fuel the fantasy that Britain is under siege. He's a man, not a crisis, not a headline. A man whose heartbeat failed, while the far right waved Union flags in Dover and Parliament issued no lament. Names surely matter. When a famous person dies, the news runs tributes. Trevor Green, Penny Spence, even fictional characters receive more fanfare. But for un homme, there's no name. His identity was never recorded, never processed, never granted dignity. He died as a number. But a nation that forgets the names of the dead will also forget its own. What Britain needs is not more border police forces or offshore processing centres. It needs justice, swift, humane asylum processing, safe routes, political leadership willing to say what should be obvious, that no human being should die simply for seeking a better life. Sir Keir Starmer blames the Tories, rightly, but now it's his government, and if the backlog continues, it will be his fault. If the delay and confusion persist, it will be his fault. The deaths are no longer inherited, they are owned by Keir Starmer. So let's end with silence, because the press will not. A man has died. He's not a threat, he's not a fraud, he's not an enemy. He is what we are all capable of being, vulnerable, desperate, hopeful, dead. So we should remember un homme, not as a statistic, but as a symbol of everything our policy should be and everything it has failed to be. I hope he rests in peace, finally, and I hope Britain wakes up to its responsibility.